welcome to an episode of Jakub's House of Rock. Today I got another cool unboxing for you guys. We're going to be taking a look at the orange Micro Terror Dark Amp. So let's get into it. Well, my one just arrived in this plastic postage bag. We'll just tear it open basically. We'll take a look at the box. So, like we would expect, comes in a nice black box. Match the color of the amp. So, for those of you who don't know, these micro amps from Orange are basically very small amp heads, and they've released two thus far. The first one being the standard Orange Micro Terror, which is this little guy here. Now, these things look tiny. They're really small. And, you know, still very solidly built, and they look like an actual orange amp head on the front. And yeah, even though they're so tiny, these things sound bloody loud and bloody awesome. So far I've had a lot of experience with playing around with this one. It's a really good amp, very good for classic rock, that sort of thing. Downside to this one, it doesn't have an effects loop. And also, the headphone out, even though it has an amp cab sim, going through it so you can, you know, listen to that and have a nice sound while you're practicing. It has this, it has the bigger size jack opening for, you know, that fits guitar cables as opposed to, you know, the 3.4 mil normal sort of earphone type one. And that's a little annoying on this amp because I always plug in to this one, well not always, but sometimes plug into the headphones and turn the amp on and nothing's happening. Because I accidentally, because I put my guitar cable in the headphones because it's on this side, so you kind of think it is, but whatever. Let's get to the unboxing of the Micro Dark. So, for those of you guys who don't know, the Micro Dark is a very high gain version of the Micro Terror. These little mini amps, they actually have the 20 watt solid state power amps, but they do have a 12AX7 valve and or tube in the preamp section. So that's how they get the really authentic groovy sound. So anyway, opening the Micro Dark. Just got foam, as you'd expect. More foam. But here we have some accessories that go with it. This is probably the power adapter thing. There we go. Yeah, they come with these. That's another little way that they make these so small, is they have the power transformer basically in this block form as opposed to in the actual amplifier. Power cable. Got some more foam here. Take all this out. Really curious to see this thing in person. There we go. Here's a little amp. And an instruction thing or something. Safety instructions. Who needs those? So let's take a look at this thing. Looks exactly the same size as the first one here. Yeah, let's take it out of the bag. See what we got. Nice. So here we go. This is our Micro Dark. It's a very nice looking, cool variant on the previous one in this nice black finish. What's also interesting is, first thing I notice, you can see all the circuitry inside it, unlike the Micro Terror. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see all the PCB in there, circuit board, and you can see the 12AX7 shining there, that tube. So that's going to glow when we power this thing up. Comes with a little tag here, a little orange tag with the 50th anniversary logo, I see. So that's cool. And we got the effects loop, which is really cool because a big thing about that is a real big disadvantage for this amp, even though it's a wonderful amp, is this one doesn't have an effects loop, and I really like having at least reverb in there. Not to mention that since these have really like just one tone knob, you can put an EQ pedal in the back of these amps, or you would be able to if this one had an effects loop, but in the back of this one, it's got the effects loop, so a buffered effects loop. I don't really know what the buffer does in terms of the effects loop. Should probably find out, but whether that's a good or a bad thing, but it's a buffered effects loop, and you can put any pedal you want in there. So you can put an EQ pedal, and then you have an onboard EQ for your amp to really mess with that sound, get whatever sound you want out of this thing. Got our DC in here, just 15 volt to a DC current. And now let's see. So we got our on-off. There's a little light that comes on when it it's powered on. This light's blue, which is weird because you'd think they'd have an orange light to fit with the orange theme, but oh well. Blue light. Volume, very simple. Shape. This is an interesting control on this amp in particular. So apparently, if you have the shape all the way to the left, that means that there's more mids in the mix, and the treble and bass slightly get lowered at the very extremes of it. When you go towards the middle, you get a more flat EQ, and when you go towards the far right, you get a more scooped sound. So you can really mess with this and get whatever sound you're kind of looking for. But yeah, again, an actual, like a couple of band EQ would be probably a cool thing to add to this thing. And at the far side, we just have gain, which is where we get all our crunch from. And yeah, that's going to be probably one of the most exciting controls on this thing. So, overall, I'm really excited to try this thing, because I've heard lots of demos of this amp, and it's always sounded really awesome. Very high gain, very cool, especially for the size, and yeah, I'm really excited to try this out. So, I will be doing a proper full review of this amp in the near future, but for the moment, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just going to do a little demo of it. I've got a Laney cab here, so I can use its speaker as the speaker out for this thing. This one has an 8 ohm minimum speaker out, so it works perfectly with the speaker we got here. And yeah, we're going to test it out. I'm not going to record it properly, so I don't have my mics or anything here. You're just going to, the sound you're going to hear is just from the, what do you call it, the microphone in my camera here. So yeah, let's check this thing out. Alright, so I've got everything hooked up and I'm ready to test the amp out for you. I actually did do a quick take one of this little demo here, but the amp was glitching out a little bit. The gain was kind of fading in and out, and it was really weird. I think it had more to do with my cable, actually, because I kept playing and it sort of stopped doing that when I tried again later. So I'm gonna so that's why I'm doing a take 2 of this, because I think maybe yeah, just the cable, when I was sort of sitting awkwardly on the ground, because I don't have much space to do these videos and have the camera positioned in a good spot and everything, so I was sort of crouching on the ground, and when you're playing for Les Paul, crouching, it doesn't really go very well. So I got myself a seat. Now I can test this thing out. So I'm just going to start off with the shape knob in the middle. The gain can stay in the middle now as well. And again, like I said, I will be doing a full review of this thing in the future, where I will mic it up properly with an SM57 microphone and all that, and get a good clean sound for you guys to get a good idea of what this amp actually sounds like. This is just a really rough demo that you'll be hearing the sound of the amp with my the microphone that's inbuilt into the camera. So let's get started. So you just switch the thing on, put this little blue light on, and always remember to plug in on the right hand side of the amp. On the left, like I said, is the headphones. I make that mistake way too often with this amp, and then I'm sitting there confused as to why it doesn't work. So the volume's all the way off. Let's get started. There we go. of got a nice sort of slight break-up tone. So let's try the clean first. I know it's not the most exciting thing about this amp, but from what I've heard and what I've been playing earlier, the clean actually sounds really lovely on this amp in particular, which is kind of funny since it's made to be a very gainy amp, but yet it has a nice clean. So unlike the Zombie Band amps, for those of you guys who don't know, they're a Chinese company. I've did a few reviews and unboxings of some of their little amp heads very similar to these. They have 2 channels. These just have 1. So these don't have a clean channel, but the way you get a clean is you roll the gain down and turn the volume up. Very simple. Ooh, and then we have like that decrease in volume again. Very odd. I don't know if you guys are picking that up, but yeah, the volume is kind of dropping, the gain a little bit, and it wasn't doing that when I said after I did that demo, and then I played for a little longer. It stopped doing that, so maybe that needs a little bit to warm up or something. Around with the shape knob and get some different sounds. So that's a little more scooped. Then we can go right the other way and have the mids brought up and everything else a little quieter, the bass and the treble. So just bring that back to the middle, and now we can start adding some gain. Let's see how this sounds on a moderate sort of gain. nice. Knock the volume back a tiny bit, because again, this video will probably clip because it's the, you know, the camera mic and not a proper mic and everything. Turn the gain up a little, turn this down. Play up this shape knob a little. So that's your sort of moderate rock tones where we got this thing turned up to like 1 o'clock or something like that. Let's turn it up sort of 90 degrees that way, the gain. Starting to get into the ultra high gain territory. Sounds really good, really beefy, really nice distortion sound you're getting from this, especially if you push the volume a little bit more and always play these things through a big cab. Like, these do come with a sort of novelty 8-inch speaker. You can buy, like, you know, the orange little cab that's like, you know, very small to go with these, but they're literally a gimmick. I mean, I'm sure you can have some fun just noodling around at home and they would do work, obviously, but I would never play this thing through an 8-inch speaker, because these amps, these are real amps. These aren't like practice amps. So, like, you know, I'm playing just sort of above what I consider a bedroom playing volume, even though I am playing in my bedroom. But these I'm playing these just a hair above that. But notice that the volume is only on the second line here. And this thing has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of these little notches. So it does go up to 11, which is awesome. But if you have that much headspace still to go, these things do get really loud. It's what's it called? 20 watts of solid state power, but it's a really loud 20 watts. Not to mention it's got the valve preamp, which boosts it a little bit more anyway. So these things you can definitely play with a drummer. I've done that before. These can get really loud. So these are proper real amps. They're not, you know, little toy practice amps or whatever. You know, you can still use them as that if you turn them way down. But you really get the best out of these when you crank the volume a little bit more, just to get it beyond that sort of barrier where it's, you know, flying comfortably. That's where the gain smooths out and gets really crunchy and lovely. So let's just experiment with getting the gain even higher, seeing how that sounds like. And again, I apologize if this video is clipping a lot and you're hearing some distortion in the sound, because in the room, it sounds really pleasant. So, we maxed out the gain. Nice. Again, I'm playing pretty loud, so the neighbors are probably gonna be pissed. Actually, tune down to drop D, see how that sounds. Alright, so I finally got this thing to drop D. Already testing it out at this tuning. So hopefully we should get some nice heavy sounds with this. the orange micro dock. And yeah, it's sounding pretty damn awesome. That little fluctuation in the gain seems to go away after it's turned on for a little bit. So I don't know, it's probably just something to do with the tube. Maybe if I replace the tube, or it might have just been my cable, like I said. No problems after a minute or two. Sounding really great. Really love this with the drop tuning. Very metal. I'll probably do a comparison with this one and the zombie at some point as well. Maybe even in the full review of it. We'll see. I'll definitely do a comparison with this one in that video too. But just overall, based on just playing it for an hour or so just now today, I bloody love the damn thing. Got a great distorted tone. Yeah, I'd recommend this thing. I mean, it is a bit pricey for something that looks as small as this, but think about it. For the sound you're getting, like, you buy amps for the sound, not for the bulk of it, you know what I mean? And this thing really sounds awesome. It's got an effects loop, got a, you know, headphone plug with a cab sim. It looks groovy, it sounds groovy, and it's an orange amp, so you just gotta love it. And yeah, so that's it for this little unboxing. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, the sound quality is probably awful compared to what I'm actually hearing in person for what you heard, but I will do proper demos when I get this thing to my studio and, you know, probably just play around with it for a couple of weeks before I actually do the proper demo to get a good sense of this amp, so I can give you guys an accurate review and opinion on this thing. I know there is already a bunch of them out there, but, you know, the more the merrier. And with that, may you guys keep on rocking. Peace out. Bye.